What's up guys, Mickle here, and earlier today we had a pretty massive congressional hearing on digital assets, and there actually seems to be a shocking revelation happening in Congress right now. In this video, I want to show you what we learned today, because there's been so many of these meetings that have been so unproductive, you get absolutely nothing out of them, but this is one of the few ones where you really started to see a tide turning against the SEC. In this video, I want to share with you the most important parts from this hearing, but towards the end of the video, actually transition into why us XRP holders, why us XRP investors are so far ahead of the rest of crypto. At the end of this video, I want to share with you something absolutely shocking that is really going to let you know you are so far ahead of everyone else out there. Make sure to stick around for this. I think it's going to make you a lot more confident in where you're positioned. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. Make sure if you haven't already, you take a second to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It's really going to help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP or the Flare token, make sure to check out my favorite exchange, Uphold, down in the description of this video. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I want to start this video off and just share with you some pretty massive progress we're actually making in these digital asset congressional meetings, because for so long I would watch these entire things and it would seem like almost nothing was being said. You would just hear crypto skeptics talking about how this technology is only being used for fraud, how we can never let it into our financial system. But we are starting to see a very significant shift, and this is really good news. So the first thing I want to share is actually something that I never thought I would see, and that is actually Democrats attacking Gary Gensler. Now, typically in hearings like this, they are extremely partisan. No one will ever attack the regulator whose party they are also in. But in this congressional hearing, we saw almost every single person, whether they're a Democrat or a Republican, attacking Gary Gensler. Now, this is a really significant development because this shows that there is a real issue at hand here. The other very important thing I noticed is the amount of people against crypto is extremely small. Even the people who don't understand crypto necessarily are still saying, okay, I don't understand why there aren't fair regulations for this market. We need to protect consumers. So we're starting to see a very significant shift in Congress against the SEC. And I want to play you a quick clip. I thought this was awesome. This was by a guy named Richie Torres. He's actually a Democrat, but I want to show you just how hard he's actually going at Gary Gensler here. And this is a really big development because the more we see things like this, the more we see people going against Gary Gensler from his own political party, the more trouble Gary Gensler is going to be in. These are the kinds of things, especially in today's day and age where these parties stay so close together, these are the kinds of things that are going to be really hard to survive. Because now it's not only going to be Republicans going after Gary Gensler, and they're pretty unanimously doing that, but if you're going to also have people on the Democratic side of the aisle also joining in to put pressure on him, that is going to be a really hard thing for Gary Gensler to survive. I want to show you this clip and then break it down, so listen up to this.
Yes, registration with the SEC is just a form on a website. Fact, the notion of registration as just a form on a website is patently false. So false, in fact, that it would come as a shock to all the securities lawyers and companies spending millions of dollars on SEC registration and compliance. Myth, the SEC has the right to crack down on crypto because the technology has no utility. It does more harm than good. Fact, the SEC is statutorily designed to be a merit-neutral regulator. Even if SEC chair were as omniscient as God himself, he nonetheless has no statutory authority to impose his personal judgment about the merits of crypto and blockchain on those of us who disagree with him. The SEC's only role is to correct information asymmetries and mandate disclosures to protect investors.
So I thought that was an excellent point that often gets slept on. Whether or not Gary Gensler or the SEC like cryptocurrencies, it doesn't matter. They don't control what people are allowed to invest in. They are a merit-neutral regulator. They are supposed to treat all technologies the same, and the only thing the SEC is really supposed to be doing is saying, hey, if you're reporting this financial data, is it correct or are you lying about it? Gary Gensler and the SEC have expanded their power to such a large degree, most of us don't even know what the SEC is really supposed to be doing. The SEC is trying to say whether or not you and I should be able to buy cryptocurrencies, and this is something we really see by a lot of regulators in the market. They try to tell us what we should be and shouldn't be allowed to do, or what we should want to do, rather than just doing their actual jobs. Now, the funny part about it is, no matter how much these regulators have tried to dissuade us from getting into cryptocurrencies, they have failed miserably. I think it's only actually made people more interested in technology because one of those things they're like, oh, don't look here, don't look here. Meanwhile, this awesome innovation's happening, and it's just so obvious they are trying to keep us away from this explosive new technology. Now, either way, I just really think this highlights the fact that Gary Gensler is absolutely failing to not only do his job, but convince people who are supposed to be aligned with him that he is doing his job. Now, the reason this is really going to backfire is because Gary Gensler might not be able to escape with just saying it was incompetence or he just didn't get it. The fact of the matter is, we have House Republicans really cracking down on him to get the documents related to FTX, and he's not going to be able to hide these if he has people on the other side of the aisle also coming at him. It looks like he is refusing to hand over the FTX documents right now, and John Deaton said it's time to issue congressional subpoenas. Now, this would essentially be forcing him to hand over these documents. I don't know the ins and outs of exactly how this would work, but it seems like he's really trying to hide something here, and this is exactly why him losing the Democratic support on his side is such a big issue. If he has both sides cracking down on him for something as dangerous as those FTX files, he could be in big trouble. We have to see how this plays out, but as you can tell, he is really losing the narrative in Congress, and he has done something that is so hard to do, and that is lose his own party support. Now, it wasn't only people going after Gary Gensler. What I'm also knowing is almost every single person in this hearing has given up on the SEC. Every single person in this hearing essentially was saying this market has to be given to the CFTC, and they're already making the declaration that almost 70% of the digital commodities in this market are, like I said, commodities. They don't want this thing going to the SEC, and at the end of the day, I think it's just because the SEC can't be trusted to do their job. We are watching every single person, Republican or Democrat, turn against the SEC and say, you know what, this market regulator is unfit to handle this. The funniest thing about all of this is I really do think if Gary Gensler just came into the SEC and said, you know what, let's create a way to make this market work as securities, let's figure out how to register these tokens, protect customers, and let's do everything in a way that promotes innovation, I think this entire market would be at the SEC right now. I think he would have got the whole market simply by using logic and simply by regulating in a manner that wasn't trying to kill the industry. Instead, though, Gary Gensler drastically overestimated his power. He tried to take control of the whole industry, he tried to expand his jurisdiction, and it really makes me question how much damage he could really do to this industry going forward, because at this point no one thinks he's a good faith regulator. Everyone knows he's just trying to expand his own power and squash the innovation, so it's really hard to take anything he's doing seriously. Hopefully we get a new SEC commissioner soon who's actually willing to help this industry regulate in good faith and protect consumers. Everyone knows at this point that is not going to be Gary Gensler, so I just don't know how serious anyone can take him going forward. And I want to finish this video off and show you something pretty shocking, because us XRP investors for a while, we got so much crap from the other cryptocurrency groups, but it's so confusing to me how these people don't see how obvious XRP is, and meanwhile get lost in some of the weirdest, most absurd investments I've ever seen. And one example of that is these Bored Ape NFT JPEGs, and this is something that David Gokhshtein just tweeted out. I mean, he is a massive crypto influencer. We can take a look. He has 723,000 subscribers, and he tweeted out earlier today, I never thought I'd see Bored Apes at this floor. And the floor he's referring to is these Bored Apes going for 41 Ethereum. And these are the kinds of things that I just cannot wrap my head around. How can you be so confused how a JPEG of a monkey is trading for $50,000? That is still insane. How could you possibly think in any way, or how could you be surprised in any way, that the price of a JPEG of a monkey is only trading at $50,000? It is completely absurd, and these are the big influencers in crypto. It's not people like me, it's not people in the XRP community who are talking about utility, who are talking about the use cases for cryptocurrency and how they can be used to transform the financial system as we know it. No, it's people who are tweeting out they don't understand how a picture of a monkey could have declined in value from $300,000 to $50,000. It literally doesn't make any sense, but what I know for sure, and I don't know the timing behind this, but eventually all this meme stuff, all this hype and speculation is going to get drowned out by utility. It might still be around, but there is going to be a point in this market where cryptocurrencies like XRP that are actually solving something are going to get mainstream adoption. And I know that's the fact because that is how markets always work. Eventually, markets become rational. Eventually, markets find the game-changing technologies, and you don't have to look any further than the stock market to find that. There was a period where stocks were popping off that weren't real investments. They didn't have any business models. Just look at the 2000 dot-com bubble. There were so many business models that were just fake, made-up ideas that were 10xing, 20xing. Eventually, they faded out for the Amazons, the Googles, and those were the companies that ended up being the life-changing investments. What we see is Ripple is actually doing something that is transformation to the financial system. Anthony Welfare tweeted out, "Ultimate goal here is that we have a very efficient way of exchanging value." It's that simple. Right now, there is no native protocol on the internet to move value. Ripple is trying to do that with XRP. We are not talking about investing in a picture of a monkey for $50,000. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.